Start, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, students. Hope you are clear with yesterday's session. Okay. Please give me 2 minutes. చెప్పరా ఈరోజు లింక్ పంపించారు చూడు. Can you acknowledge me through chat? Is my screen is visible? Yes, is my screen is visible? Hello? Students, anybody please respond. My screen is visible? Yes? Please respond through chat.
Yes, sir. It is visible. It is visible. Continue. Continue.
Okay. Okay. I'll create a new notebook today. Okay, that is Python 2. Okay, let me rename it NumPy and pandas. Today's the date is 16/06/2020. Right. So today we'll start with the package that is import NumPy as NP. So we'll see what are the things that we can perform using this NumPy package. Okay, the NumPy statement can be written like this. Okay, import NumPy as NP. Generally, this package is used to perform some numerical operations on the data. Okay, some numerical operations, or if you want to apply some mathematical functions on the given data, you can use this NumPy package. Okay, let us execute this. So here you can see star symbol means you can say that the cell is still under execution. Once you got the number here means the cell execution is completed. Okay. Now let us have the data. For example, height 182, 145, 190, 186. So this is a list. We cannot perform any operations directly on the list. Okay. So for that, what you have to do is we have to convert this list into an array. Okay, NumPy array. So how to convert means np dot array of. If you write like this, your list will be converted as array. Okay, your list will be converted as array. Similarly, I'll create another array, that is np dot array of 70, 75, 90 and 110. Okay, so I have created height array with these values, and I have created a weight array with these values, and these arrays are successfully created. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to calculate the mean of height. What is the mean? So for that, what you have to do is you have to write np dot mean. So you have to pass the array name. For example, if you want to calculate what is the mean height, okay, if you want to calculate the mean height, just you can write np dot mean of height. Then you will get the mean of height. Here just you are calculating the height. That's it. You are not printing. Okay. If you want to print it, you can simply write print statement here. Then it will be like this. Okay. Similarly, I want to calculate median for my weight. what is the median. So for my weight array, that means I have given 70, 75, 90, and 110. For these values, the median of weight has been calculated as 82.5. And if you want to calculate minimum value, maximum value, that can be calculated like this. NP dot min is height, and NP dot max of weight. Like this, you can calculate. Okay. For example, if you want to identify the correlation between two different data sets, okay. Here, if you observe, this height is one data set and weight is another data set. Now, if I want to calculate the correlation for this height and weight, okay. So for that, what I will do is NP dot CORR COEF, okay. That is, I want to calculate the correlation between height and weight. So how much it is? So it will give an array like this, okay. So the correlation height with height is 1, and the correlation weight with weight is 1. But if you observe height with weight and weight with height, okay, here you have to here we have two types of data sets, right? One is height and another is weight, right? So if you have two inputs, how many types of combinations you can create means height weight, and weight and weight. Okay, so this once represents the correlation, how the values are going to be changed with the height and weight. One means what you are finding the correlation of the same data sets. So obviously you'll get one here. Okay, height and weight. If you compare the correlation of different data, correlation is nothing but how the values are changing with respect to other data. Here I can say that how the height is going to vary with weight, or how the weight is going to vary with height. So here I can say that proportionality. Okay, it is also called as a proportionality. What is the proportion of changing of height and weight? So that can be represented like this. This is height and weight correlation, and this is weight and height correlation. Okay, right. For example, if you want to calculate the sum of the entire data set, you can simply write like this. NP dot sum of height means what? It will find the sum of all the values in the array, numpy array. Okay. And if you want to sort, okay, for example, I want to sort this weight is already in sorted manner. Let me sort the height like this. So height can be sorted like this. Okay, the values will be automatically sorted with the function called sort. And if you want to calculate the standard deviation, I want to calculate the standard deviation for weight. Okay, so NP dot STD of weight. STD stands for standard deviation. Okay, now let us take one small example. Okay, for calculating BMI. Okay, for that, what I'll do is I'll create another array like this. NP dot array of 1.73 comma 1.68 comma 1.71 comma 1.89 comma and 1.79. This is the array of height. I have taken height in terms of feet. Okay, 1.73 feet, 1.68 feet, like that. Here my intention is to calculate the BMI. I think all of you know what you mean by BMI, right? Body mass index. So for that I have to take weight array also. So 65.4. The person who has height 1.73, his weight is 65.4, and 59.2 and 63.6 and 88.4 and 68.7. Okay, So here what I'm doing is I'm taking heights and weights of the people. Okay. For example, 1.73. If I take a one person, his height is 1.73 feet and his weight is 65.4 kilogram. Okay. And 1. If I consider the person with height 1.68 feet, his corresponding weight is 59.2. So I have considered the corresponding values. Okay, I have considered the corresponding values. Now, if you want to perform the if you want to calculate the body mass index of all the persons at a time, so for that what I will do is I can write this formula, that is BMI that divided by height to the power height square. Okay, so then the BMI will be calculated. Now I want to print BMI, how much it is. See, these are the body mass indices of the each and the people what we have got the data here. Okay, the person who has height 1.73 feet and weight as 65.4, his body mass index is 21.85171, like that. And the corresponding body mass indices will be calculated like this at a time. Is it flexible or not? Yes. If you consider array, you have to calculate, you have to take each and every element and you have to calculate the corresponding, you have to increase the counter so that you can switch to one element to another element. That kind of difficulties are not there here, right? So the NumPy array will give the facility of doing operations on all the elements at a time. Okay, so you can do some operations on this also. For example, if I want to if I want to check, for example, the person's body mass indices are 20 is above 23 or not. Okay, then what you will get here is you will get a Boolean array like this. Okay, for example, if you consider the first person's body mass index, how much it is? 21.85171,573. But my condition is body mass index must be greater than 23. But so what is the value that you got here? False. Similarly, for the second person, you got false. And third person also you got false. But the fourth person, 24.7 is true. Why? Because his body mass index is greater than 23. And the last person's is also less than 23. That's why you got the Boolean value as false. For example, if you want to calculate, if you want to print the values whose body mass index is greater than 23, then you can directly get the value like this. Is it flexible or not? Yes, you can directly get the person who has the body mass index greater than 23, you can get the value like this. Okay, if you want to calculate if you want to get the value, for example, if you want to take that value as an individual element, then you can print the same value like this, 0. If you print like this, then you are getting directly the value. Here it represents an array. Here it will represents a value. Okay. Next, let us see some more values here. Yeah, some more facilities here. For example, we have you can create some random arrays also. Okay. For example, I want to create height array. I don't want to initialize the values, but I want to create some random values. That is np.roundoff np.random.normal. Okay, normal. Here I'll pass some values here. I'll tell you what are those values. 0.20, 5000, comma 2. Similarly, I want to create a weight array. Okay. So here I'll get 1.75. Instead of that, I'll create 60.32 here, and it is 15 5,000 comma 2. So what is the meaning of this actually? Here I want to create an array called height1, which contains some random values. Okay, which contains some random values. Those random values distributed mean is 1.75. If I calculate the distributed mean of all those samples, it should comes like 1.75, and standard deviation as 0.20. By maintaining this distribution mean as 1.75 and 0.20 as standard deviation, okay, it will create 5,000 samples. It creates 5,000 samples, and each sample will be rounded to 2 places. Okay. For example, if you want to see how the array has been created, means I want to initialize with array name called city, and I want to use np.column underscore stack of height 1 comma weight 1. Okay. Now if you want to print the city, you'll get like this. Okay, fine. So here what we are doing is, here the first column elements represents the height. So this 1.64, 1.8, 1.62 and 1.88, all these values will come under height, and 55.49, 53.57 and these values comes under weight. So you are creating what? Actually you are creating heights and weight values randomly, such that the heights distributed mean is 1.75 and standard deviation is 0.20. By maintaining that, it will create 5,000 samples, okay, randomly. Similarly for weight also. So this one height and one height will constitute one row of element like this. It is a double dimensional array. Okay, it is a double dimensional array. Okay. So like that, we can make use of NumPy. There are so many functions we have in NumPy. Okay, these are some of the facilities that what we are going to use in machine learning algorithms. I'm concentrating only that mathematical functions. Okay, I'm not saying that these are the only functions we have. This Python is very huge in API, so we don't have much time to discuss each and every function in NumPy package. That's why I'm discussing a few. Okay. Now let us go to pandas. Okay. So if you, what do you mean by pandas actually? Actually, pandas generally use it to perform some data operations. Okay. Some data operations. What it will do is, actually, for example, if you want to work on some data set, or if you want to study some data set, okay, you know what is a data set? Data set means it contains some examples, okay, or it contains some values. Okay, so if you want to study the values, okay, that belongs to a particular domain, this package is going to be used. Okay, so here, for that, what I'm doing is I'm importing the package called pandas. Okay, now first we have to know how to load data into the pandas. Then I think all of you understand why we use pandas, right? Pandas means to use it to study the data that belongs to a particular domain. Okay, so if you want to study the data of a particular domain, the pandas is going to provide a data structure called data frame. Okay, generally we declare that as a variable df. Okay, df stands for data frame, which is a data structure that is used to study the data. Okay, so if you want to study the data, first you have to know how to load the data into this data frame. Okay, generally data sets are available in the form of CSV files. You know what is CSV file? It is comma separated values file. So if you see here, I'll show you some sample data sets. Yeah, I want to open this Titanic data set. Okay. The data sets generally represented by means of CSV files. Okay, so this is like, this is your data set containing different columns. Okay, you will study the data, entire this data. Okay, using pandas. Okay, now let us see. So now I want to load that data set. So you have to start with double quote F drive : / Titanic .csv. Okay, so successfully you have loaded the file into your data frame. Here you may ask, sir, why we have to load into data frame? So data frame will have so many functions to do some studies on the data set. First point. The second point is, if you do any changes to your data frame that doesn't affect your original file. Okay, and if you do some manipulations to your data frame, okay, the Titanic.csv file doesn't affect. That's why we are getting this data in temporarily to some memory called, that is data structure called data frame. Okay, so if you want to see what is there in this data set, the first function is we have df.head. Okay, this is what df.head. Df.head means what? It gives the first 5 rows. First 5 rows. Okay, in the entire file, it displays the first 5 rows. Okay, here you may pass the some number also. For example, if I pass 7 here, it displays the first 7 rows. Okay, if you are not passing any number here, it gives the first 5 rows by default. You can retrieve how many records you want to see at the top of the data set. You can see like this. Okay, similarly, if you want to see the last 5 records of data set, then you have to take this function called tail. Here you can observe the row index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here what is the row index? It is started with 886, 887. So these are the last records. Okay. Now let us see the functions what we have in this. Okay, first I want to check the correlation. Okay, TC is equal to df.corr. Okay, correlation. And I want to print this correlation. Okay, this will be like this. Here, what are these survived, P class, age, all these things are nothing but the columns of your data set. Okay, columns of a data set. The rows are also columns of your data set only. So here you will understand the correlation clearly. See, if you observe the change of survived with survived again, the correlation by default is 1. Similarly, if you are performing the correlation between the same columns, the value will be 1 here. See, if you observe the diagonal elements here, all the diagonal elements values are 1 only. Why? Because you are comparing the correlation with the same columns. Am I right? For example, if you want to observe the change of P class with survived, then what is the value here? Minus 0.338. What is the meaning of this? I can say that P class and survived are in inverse proportional. You understand? Inverse proportional. If one is increased, automatically another is decreased. Okay. If one is decreased, automatically another is increased. Okay. This negative value represents the inverse proportionality relation. Okay, and if you find any positive values here, those will give the direct proportion. Okay, if it is increased, this will also increase, or if it is decreases, this will also decreases. Okay, the positive values will represent those two are in direct proportional. For example, if I take fair, and survived. If you compare fair and survived, the value is 0.257307. What is the meaning of this? It is a positive value and it will give the direct proportionality. Okay. So how much factor means 25%, I can say that. 25% fair and survived are in direct proportion. Similarly, if you take fair and passenger class, P class, how much it is? Minus 0.549. So those two are inversely proportional with for 54%. You understand? Yes? Any doubts here? You understand? Any doubts here? If anybody has any doubt, you can ask me through chat box, no problem. Okay. Here we are doing the correlation between the frame. You may ask, sir, what is the usage of doing this type of correlation? In later sessions, when we start machine learning, okay, this correlation plays a very important role, okay, while doing some analytics on it. Okay, that's why I want to mention this correlation on data set. Okay. Now let us see what are the things that we can do with the um, data frames. Okay. For example, if you want to select a particular column, okay. For example, I want to select passenger class. Okay, passenger class. This is the label, right? This is the column label. P class. P class stands for passenger class. I want to print the passenger class. Okay. So what is the type of this? You have to know, right? For example, if I say D of P class like this, it returns the data, but you should understand what type of data it is also. Okay. You have, see, students, when we are displaying some data or when we are extracting some data for our usage purpose, if you understand what is the data or what type of data it is, then only you can do required manipulations. So here what I'm doing is I'm separating only passenger class from the data frame. Okay. So if you want to study what type of data it is, then you have to write like this. What is type of DF of P class? What is its type? It is a series. It is what? Series. It's like an array. It's like a simple array. For example, I want to print the same like this. There's a difference. See, here I have given only single bracket. Here I have given pair of brackets. Now you can understand what is this. What is the meaning? Here also we are retrieving P class. Here also we are retrieving P class. But here with the single bracket, here we have used two brackets. What is the meaning of that? Here also we are extracting P class data, but this time it is not series. This time it is not series. What is it? It is a data frame. So if you want to see what is the date, what we have printed just now is, what is it? It is a data frame. Okay. For example, if you want to extract more columns, for example, not single column, if you want to extract more columns, I want to retrieve P class as well as I want to retrieve survived, as it is a Titanic data set. Okay. Like this. P class is nothing but passenger class. It's the third class, first class, second class, like that. And survived means 0 represents dead and 1 represents alive. Okay. So here I am extracting data frame with 2 columns. Only 2 columns. Like that, you can extract whatever the columns you want to separate from the data frame, like that. Okay. For example, if you want to increase more, I want to, this time I want to give fair, and I want to give P class, and also I want to give survived. So now I have separated 3 columns from my data frame. Okay, fair P class are. That means, for example, you may ask, sir, what is the usage of doing like this? Why should I separate these columns? Okay. For example, if you observe the original data frame, how many columns are there here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 columns are there. Am I right? 15 columns are there. But you are not interested to study all the 15 columns. Okay. For your implementation or for your analysis or for your study, all the 15 columns are may not be suitable. Then what you will do is you will select some columns for the study. Okay, so here if I am retrieving only 3 columns means here I am interested to study only these 3 columns. That's it. Okay, I don't bother about the remaining columns. Am I clear? Yes. So for example, if you want to apply some conditions here, for example, I want to consider, for example, I want to take a passenger class. The values is greater than 2 or not. So it gives only true, false, true, false, true, false. Why it is? I want to check first. For okay, what is the passenger class of first passenger? How much it is? 3. Am I right? 3 is greater than 2. Yes, that's why you are getting true here. Okay. Similarly, let us see the passenger class of second passenger. How much it is? 1, which is less than 2, not greater than 2. That's why you got the false here. Okay, let us do one thing. I want to retrieve the passenger class. Okay, data frame whose passenger class is greater than 2. That means I want to extract higher class passengers. Okay, so these are the details of, okay, once observe, these are the details of higher class passengers, third class. Okay, otherwise low class passengers. Okay, third class, right? Third class means low class passengers. Okay, for example, if you want to extract first class passengers, you can give equal to 1, then you'll get first class passengers like this. You understand or not? Yes. So I want to study the details of first class passengers. So if you want to extract only first class passengers, you can keep it in another data frame called df1. Then df1 will have the only data of first class passengers. Then if you want to see the first 5 rows of the first class passengers, it will be represented like this. Okay, right. For example, if you want to see the third class passengers, df3 is equal to df of p class that is greater than 2. Then df3 contains the data of only third class passengers. Okay. Then if you want to see the third class passengers data, like this. You understand? Yes? Any doubts here? If you have any doubt, you can ask me through chat. Okay. Yeah. So for example, if you want to study the data, the entire data at a time, okay. Okay, let me take one more this thing, okay. For example, data under study. I want to study the data and I want to write the query like this. df of df of passenger class, okay, which is greater than 2, and df of survived equal to 1. All of you want see the query. Here my interest of data underscore study is I want to retrieve the records, the passengers whose class is 3, who are third class, and who are survived. If you are survived, the survived value should be 1. Okay, here in this you can see here, zeros means it represents the people are dead, and 1 means the people are alive. Here I want to check the third class passengers who are alive, and that values I have kept in the data underscore study. And now I want to print the first 5 records of that kind of passengers. Then we get like this. That means you can perform some multiple conditions also. Okay. So if you want to perform OR, we'll get details like this. Okay. If you want to give OR symbol, you can give like this. Or AND symbol, you can give like this. This is bitwise, not logical. Bitwise means it calculates the truth value of all the conditions. Truth values of all the conditions, and later it performs AND operations between all the truth values of the data set. And according to the resultant truth value, the records will be found out like this. So these are the records of the passengers who are third class and who are survived. Yes, are you following or not? So this is how we can study the data. Okay, and this is actually the data science, the study of data. Am I right? The study of data. These are the various ways of studying the data. Okay, this is just we are studying the data in the form of text. Later in the later sessions, we see how to study the data visually. Visually means diagrammatically. Okay. For example, if you want to understand the data, entire data, we have the function called df.describe. Okay, df.describe. What is the meaning of this? df.describe means, see, once check this result. These are the different columns we have. Okay, and it will returns only non-zero columns. Are you following or not? Some columns, if you see, some columns may have the value called NaN. What is the meaning of NaN? Not a number. Not a number means there the value has not filled. There the value is not filled. Please observe here. Here also in age column, if you see, we have 26, 27, 4 and NaN, right? NaN means what? Here actually there is no value. The value is not filled for this passenger. The age and deck is not found for this passenger. Okay. If you perform this describe function like this, it considers only the columns which are non-zero columns or the columns which has the values. Every column should have every value, all the values. For example, if I take this age, for example, here it considers only 714 records only. Why? Because actually the total records are 891 here. In our data set, we have 891 passengers data. 891 passengers data. We have the survived data of all the 891 passengers. We have passenger class data of all 891 passengers. But if it comes here for age, we have only 714 passengers who's got age. Okay, and it calculates the mean. What is the mean of 891 passengers survived, or 891 passengers P class, or age of all 891. So if you observe here, what is the mean age of 29? Mean age of all the passengers here, 29. Here you can understand there are more youngsters. The youngsters are there in the ship. Am I right? More youngsters are there in the ship. That's why you got mean as here 29 years. Okay, that means you can understand. I'm not saying that there is no children or there is no old people, but majority of the passengers are youngsters. Okay. So here also for the remaining columns, okay, the mean, standard deviation, what is the minimum value, and what is the 25% of data, and what is the 50% of data, and what is 75% of data, and what is the maximum value. All these statistics can be known by using this df.describe. Okay, here we have one more function, that is df.info. So here what we have is, here it will give all the columns. It gives the information about all the columns. Okay. For example, here in the survived, we have 891 nominal values. For example, how many passengers are there in our data set? 891. Am I right? We have 891 passengers. If you take the survived data, all the 891 passengers survived data is there. Similarly, if you consider P class, okay, for P class also we have all 891 passengers data. If you consider age here, we have age information only for 714 passengers only. You may ask, sir, what about the remaining? Remaining all our values are missing. We don't know the age. Okay. Similarly here, 891 for this column, this column, this column. And again, if you see here, we have very less information about the deck here, right? We got only 203 passengers deck information out of 891. Am I right? So here in Embark Town also we have only 889. That means we have missed only 2 passengers data there. Okay, like that you can if you want to do the required study, you can use this df.describe and df.info. These two functions will give the consolidated study of the entire data. Consolidated study of the entire data. Okay, am I clear? Okay. Now let us move on to the visual representation. Okay. If you want to do some visual study, okay, the package that you are supposed to import is matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Okay, here this package will allows us to study data visually. To study the data visually. Okay. For example, I want to plot the data of P class, that is passenger class values. Okay. See here, you may get a doubt that, sir, what is df of P class dot values? I hope all of you, what is this df of P class? Actually, what is the type of df of P class? It is series, right? It is a series. Here we seen already. Here right, it is a series. Df of P class is what? Series. But for graphs, or if you want to do some visual study, the values that you should pass is arrays. Okay, so for that, what I'll do is df of p class, okay, df of p class dot values means what? Here I'm doing, I want to plot some data. Okay, I want to plot some data or some graph between the values of passenger class and survived. Okay, now you'll write here what plt dot show. So you'll get the graph like this. See, the vary. For example, if you want to, if you won't understand this, instead of plot, let us make it as scatter. Okay, it will be looking like this. But just you want to do some visual study, okay, with the values of the Titanic data set. For example, if I want to perform this box plot, df of fare dot values, and I want to write it as a plt dot show. Values, sorry, values. See, this is the box plot. Okay, the box, what is the meaning of this? See, here box plots are very useful in order to find outliers. Okay, outliers means the data items or the examples, the examples we have, each and every data or passenger is an example. Okay? Or otherwise you consider each and every record of the data set as a passenger. Okay, here using a box plot I can identify the outlier passengers. Outlier passengers means what? That values are not at all in relation with the remaining data set examples. Okay, here if you observe here, we have a box of blue color, right, having blue color borders. This box represents the range of values which are in interquartile range. Okay, what is the meaning of interquartile range? If you calculate the median of entire data set, or if you calculate the median of the total passengers in the data set, you'll get some value, right? That value is represented by this red line. Okay, so the values which are nearer to that red line, or which are in the range of that red line, will be constituted by this box. So this box represents the interquartile range. Are you following on it? So the interquartile range that represents the values which are in range with the median of the entire data set. You may ask, sir, what about the other values which are not in range with the median of the data set? Those values are called as the outliers. Those values are called as the outliers. See here, these plus symbols are outliers. That means those are not at all in range with this box. Are you following or not? Yes. So this is the understanding of box plot. Similarly, we can have histograms, that is df of fare dot values plt dot show. dot hist of, yeah, parenthesis we have to give. Okay, so it represents uh, the count according to the fare. That means out of 891 passengers, you can observe the passengers who purchased the ticket in the range of 0 and 50 are more when compared to others. See, here you can understand which class passengers are more in this ship. Okay, if the low fare people are more, means here the third class passengers are more when compared to the other classes. See, here we have very few whose ticket fare is 300 rupees. Okay, and here we have some more greater value for the passengers who purchased the tickets in the range of 200 to 250. Similarly, 100 to 150 is some more, and 50 to 100 some more, but more people are purchased with low fare. That means here I can understand the third class people are more in the ship. Like that, you can study the data. Is it clear? So, hello, sir, Girish sir. Hello. Hello. I think some of the students may have data set and some of the students may not have the data set. Okay, no problem. I'll mail the data set, and I'll mail the what do you call data set. If possible, I'll mail this notebook also. So those who don't have data set, no problem. You can browse through net. Why? Because the Titanic dataset is very popular dataset, and that will be available in Google. If anybody wants dataset, just give me a call or give me a message so that I'll give the dataset to those students. Okay, so that you can study the data. Okay. Now it is exam time. All of you are ready? Please give me 2 minutes. Hello. Sir. Hello. Now I'm going to share the link in your chat box. All of you want to see. This is the link for exam for yesterday's session. Okay. I'll give you half an hour time. So in that period, please complete the exam. Okay. See, again, one more time, I want to remember. So many people are getting the screen. Okay, while installing the today, I got one screenshot from a student. Yeah. This is the screenshot. I think most of the people had stopped with this screenshot only, right? Most of the people. Am I right? So no problem. No problem. Your Anaconda has been successfully installed. No worries. Okay. So what you have to do is go to start and in all programs check whether Anaconda 2 is there or not. First point. If Anaconda 2 is there, if you find Anaconda 2, okay, what you have to do is run the Jupyter notebook. Run the Jupyter notebook. If the Jupyter notebook is also successfully run, then what you have to do is go to start again, click on all programs, go to Anaconda 2 and open Python prompt. Again, the steps I will mention in the chat box. The step 1, open Anaconda 2 in all programs. That's the first step. Second step, open Python prompt. Okay. Step 3, copy the pip command. Okay, yesterday I showing you this, right? Through pip install. Through pip install, I have shown one more option, right? So copy that pip command and paste it in your Python prompt. Step 4, press enter. It will automatically install. Anaconda 3 doesn't support GraphLab. Okay, from tomorrow onwards, no, not IPython. Python prompt is separate is there. If you click that, it will gives like general, it will look like general command prompt only. Okay, not IPython. If you open that, it will give some path like command prompt. Okay, there you have to paste the pip command. Only have to paste from pip install only. Don't paste the entire command. Okay, don't paste the entire command. I'll show you. See here, if you observe this one, right? This pip installed. Pip install. Only from pip only copy that. You copy that, right click, copy, and then paste in your Python prompt. Got it? Yes? Then it will start installing. 3%, 4%, 5%, like that, it will start install. Then then if it is successfully installed, close the Jupyter notebook, again restart the Jupyter notebook, and this time in the Jupyter notebook, in the cell, type this command import GraphLab and press enter. If this instruction has been successfully executed, okay, then your GraphLab has been successfully installed. Okay, do it. Why? Because from tomorrow onwards, the sessions are only on GraphLab only. Okay, so be ready with this. And if you have any doubts in installing or understanding, yesterday I already given you the contact number. Okay, you can call me to that number. Okay, I'll guide you. No problem. Why? Because GraphLab is very flexible and comfortable in working. Of course, yes. So this is my contact number. You can call me at any time. Okay, I'll guide you. No problem. Okay. So those who are have got the doubt finished, please answer the questions. Okay. In the URL what I have shared just now. Okay. After 4:35, the exam link will be. Anybody, this is not to evaluate you. Just I want to know how much extent you are understanding the concepts. Okay. Don't think that it is an evaluation or it is a test or an exam like that. Just it will be useful for you. It will useful for you. Okay. You can analyze yourself how much extent you have learned the concepts. Okay. Like that, this kind of quiz will be shared every day. Okay. This kind of quiz will be shared every day. So every day, if you write exam like this, then you will get the confidence that you are learning something. Okay. You are learning something. Okay, you'll get some confidence. That is the main aim. That's it. And I'll announce who the top 10 persons at the end of the complete session. Just for let us see who will comes the top 10. Okay. Yeah, I'll give it to the Girish sir, and Girish sir will share to all of you. Okay. The data sets also I'll give to the Girish sir. The feature in future, what are the data sets that we are going to use? All those data sets will be sent to you. No problem. Okay. You can listen the session and parallelly you can work on it. No problem. Hope all of you writing the exam. Okay, good. So all of you are seeing the right answers after the completion of exams, right? Exam, right? But don't share it, okay? Just for understanding purpose. Don't share it. Let your friends should also write the exam. Let them try on their own. Okay. So 165 numbers I'm seeing here, 164, but I got only 19 responses. So today's session exam will be conducted tomorrow. Okay. At the end of the session, like today, how it is happened. At the end of the session, before end of the session, the exam link will be shared. Okay. After completion of exam, the session will be ended. Okay. For today's class, the exam will be tomorrow. Okay. Similarly, for tomorrow's class, the exam will be day after tomorrow, like that. Okay. But at the last, I'll definitely announce who are the top 10 people. So now got only 33 responses. So those who have finished exam can leave the session, no problem.
Pawan sir, can we end the session?
Yes, sir. The people are actually writing the exam.
Okay.
I told them I'll close the session at 4:30.
Shailaja, it is in the chat box. You can check the link. Check the chat box. Sir, again, copy paste here, sir. Copy paste to everyone.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure.
Somebody missed it.
Yeah, sure.
While sending it to everyone.
Yes, sir. Pasted, sir.
Right. Shailaja, I guess you can see. Answers are not being displayed. Tomorrow answers will be discussed, not will be displayed. Okay.
Okay.
That's it, no, sir. Tomorrow morning, at first we just discuss the answers. Then we can start this.
Okay, we'll discuss the answers. No problem.
Right. I hope everyone are writing the exam. Please utilize this opportunity. It's not writing any exam to scale you. It is about to encourage you. That what have you learned? Can you apply it or not? Or if you are not having any problem to submit the answers, you can just discuss it further. No problem. Can I get the recording of yesterday's session? Mostly you will get by tonight.